And right here, since the topic has become more acute, since the question arises, what is the point of all this Putin madness? Notice that the heads of the so-called DPR have already announced that they have no intention of rebuilding anything. They plan to turn the Ukrainian cities they've destroyed into so-called tourist reserves of ruins so that they can bring visitors and tourists there, showing them the haunting horrors and devastation of war that they themselves have created and caused. In other words, I would say the situation has rather heated up than cooled down or become something different. After all, every era has its own unique aesthetic. You know this, right? And Putinism is no exception. And with Putinism, I have to say, this is exactly what's happening now. It is developing its own recognizable style. And photos from the Putin era will be identifiable down to the exact year. Well, probably in the same way we can now recognize the era of Nicholas or Brezhnev or Stalin or Mussolini. But while Mussolini or all those Louis XIVs or the Umayyads made a show of architectural forms, the charm of the Russian Putinist world is created from corpses in ruins, from the Ministry of Defense's body stockpiles, and also from cemeteries, both cemeteries of the dead and cemeteries of the living. And this peculiar facade of grandeur with its own unique aesthetic is adorned with the faces of Duma hacks, the faces of Czechist rehearsals of shooting girls in kindergartens and all sorts of caryatids holding the rank of major general. And looming over all of this is the enormous, profound, and much suffering. Volokova split regarding the shootings in kindergartens. I refer you to my Telegram channel. The video is available there. And, well, it's obvious that nothing stands still, and the harmony of Putinism is being perfected. And into this harmony, torn human flesh fits more and more calmly and comfortably, because disabled veterans returning from the special military operation are making things like blowing themselves and their neighbors up with live grenades a part of everyday life. And as for kindergartens, well, just take a look. There's a picturesque scene, and performances like this have become commonplace. It's still unclear why children dressed as Stalin-era soldiers are blasting away at girls with toy guns. Apparently, the girls are either Ukrainians or English. Well, then everything becomes more or less clear, because the tradition of executions in Bucha must be preserved and passed down to future generations. Without them, the Russian world cannot survive. And those combat grenades I mentioned earlier, they were put to use in the Moscow suburbs on the staircase of an utterly impoverished barracks, where some comrades from the special military operation had a bit of a quarrel. Not only did they die, some innocent bystanders were caught in the blast as well. So in the end, all the willing and unwilling participants ended up together in the morgue. And in general, it should be understood that all across Russia, the special military operation veterans are ramping up their lawlessness. There's no point in listing all the wildest incidents anymore. There are simply too many of them. They have become commonplace. And for their lost legs, for their blinded eyes, the criminals of Putin's war, of course, take revenge on the defenseless population. When they return home on leave or are discharged, after all, the front has become not only a school of patriotic fervor, but also a kind of university for robbery, murder, and humiliation. Every orc from the war carries this pleasure in his small heart, the pleasure of Buka,